going to tell you the story about how I got into this business. So it goes back to actually my college days. Real estate had just started to see movement in the market back in the mid-'70s. And I had a conversation with my dad on what I should do. Should I get into real estate? And he says, I like real estate. He says, commercial real estate. And he said, otherwise be a lawyer, a corporate lawyer. So I thought, okay, I'll go down both tracks. And so I did. And I really saw that I enjoyed commercial real estate. It was a lot of fun. But I did take law classes in college. And what I decided to do is experiment, obviously, by buying a fourplex. I saved up $11,000. And when I tell this story, a lot of people don't ask me, well, how'd you save up $11,000? You're 20 years old and you've got $11,000. And when we're talking 1975, that was probably like $50,000 or $60,000 today or even more. And I just worked my butt off. I worked while I went to college. I worked in high school. I even started, I think, my first job at 14 years old. And I wanted to save my money because I know I wanted to invest it in something. At the time, I was even thinking fast food. Maybe I would buy an In-N-Out burger if I could. So I knew I had a purpose. I didn't know what it was at the time. So then in college, I said, okay, I think I figured this out. I'm going to buy an apartment building. Well, a fourplex is technically an apartment building, I guess. And so I found one in Long Beach near the college that I attended, Cal State University of Long Beach, and it was perfect. So I bought that. My mom and dad had to co-sign, but they were very trustworthy when I think of it, because their name was on the line and their credit was on the line. So I made sure I was very diligent. I kept the units rented. I interviewed the tenants. I cleaned the units up. I remember cleaning the ovens, shampooing the carpets, doing the gardening. And actually, I thought it was a lot of fun. And I thought, I'd rather be doing this than the other job that I was doing at the time. So after I graduated from college, I thought, well, I'm going to do this full time. I thought, this is a big crossroads because I had also taken the LSAT, which is the entrance exam to law school. And I had actually got into law school in LA, and it was really a crossroads for me, but I invested this $11,000. I sold the property for $57,000. I paid $45,000, so I made $12,000. That's pretty much 100% on your money. And I had also made about $2,400 a year on that investment until I sold it. So I made another 24% per annum. I mean, this is insane. And so I thought, I'm going to end up being a broker. I'm going to sell apartment buildings because I really understand them now. At least I thought I did at the age of 21, 22. And I'm going to take everything I make in sales and apply it to down payments and purchase apartment buildings. And I set a goal of $100,000. And now I had $25,000 to start with. And so I got in the business, worked for an apartment broker here in Los Angeles that all we did is specialize. And the key thing is specializing. So you want to know your product inside and out. And so that is exactly what I did. I learned the apartment thing while I was in college. I learned how to operate them. I understood the numbers. I understood about tenants because I had a few bad tenants I had to kick out. And so you realize you really need to qualify your tenants before you put them in your apartment building. And I understood, pay your bills on time or the vendors won't come back out. All the things that you want to learn before you actually acquire an apartment building. So when I got in the business and I met with clients, I could talk like an expert. And I think it's important that you do everything you can to be an expert in what you do, because oftentimes you're going to be dealing with people who are experts and maybe even the product you're trying to sell them. So that's what I did, and sure enough, it worked. And I took off in terms of being a broker. People seemed to like what I was doing. I think they looked at my age too and thought, wow, this is a sharp kid at a young age. He's already owned an apartment building. He wants to buy more and is buying more. And he can answer my questions. And the critical thing, though, that I learned, and it was very important. It's one thing we teach here at Sperry Commercial Global Affiliates, and that is you got to cold call. It really is a fundamental part of this business. And so I got on the phone and I cold called. I didn't rely on family or friends or the company to give me a lead. I got these leads on my own. And how did I get them? Just getting on the phone, making friends on the phone. That's what I would call it. And hey, did anyone hang up on me? All the time. People would get upset, hey, you're calling me at dinner, what are you doing? It's family time. Call me in the office tomorrow, whatever. And I would follow up and do that. And I was very nice, very cordial, very respectful, but I aggravated a lot of people with an unwanted phone call. But there were people that said, I'm not interested, and I was able to get an appointment out of. And that's the key to getting on the phone, is to get an appointment. Because once you meet with them, it's a whole different scenario. And so I was very good in front of people as well. And so I ended up becoming one of the top agents in the company. But here's the key, and this is the important thing. It's not just about brokerage, it's about your net worth. And one thing that I ask people that I interview, especially young people, is what is your net worth? You know what they tell me? They don't tell me anything. They ask me, what is the net worth? I mean, are you kidding me? And that's important because I knew that most kids, and I call them kids, I mean, I'm talking about college graduates most of the time, they don't know what a net worth is. So just for sake of this interview, net worth is your assets minus your liabilities, your equity and your real estate plus cash assets, anything that you have that's liquid, that minus all the debt, that's your net worth. And really all of us, and I don't hear this, I hear about talk shows and finance guys on the radio, and no one talks about their net worth. And it's so important. It's like, what's your temperature? You know, if your temperature is 102, you're sick, right? If it's 98.6, you're perfect. That's what, to me, net worth is all about. You want to make sure your net worth is growing. And growing in line with your debt. I won't get into details here, but you don't want to have a $20 million net worth on a $200 million asset base. That means you got 10% equity and 90% leverage, because a slightly bad economy can turn you upside down. I'm talking about a true net worth where 50% is maybe debt and 50% is equity. That's a solid net worth. But in the beginning, any net worth is a good net worth. So coming out of school, you probably have a negative net worth. If you took out loans, you're probably going to end up with a negative net worth, and you're going to start there, pay that debt off, start making investments, and create a net worth. So I did that. By the age of 26, I had made over $1 million of net worth in apartment buildings. I had 12 properties. I took the commissions that I made and invested them, and I lived as if I was making 30% of what I was making, maybe $10,000 a year. I was actually making between $100,000 and $150,000 a year back then. And so I was living on 10% of what I made, which is really, who does that? Well, one of the keys, and I'll be honest about this, is at 26 years old is when I moved out of my parents' house. I lived with them till I was 26. I could buy every house on that street. So people had no idea, but I was taking that money and buying real estate. It was just awesome. And my dad saw what I was doing, and he said, you know, really to help your career out, you really need some opium. And I go, opium? And he said, yep. He said, other people's money. And so it took me till it was 1998 when I formally started an equities division of Sperry Commercial Global Affiliates. It's called Sperry Equities, and we invest high net worth individuals' money. And so we take maybe 5 or 10% of our money with 90% of theirs. We buy property, we split the profits maybe 60-40 with an 8% preferred return to anyone who puts the money in there. So now I'm leveraging my money, and that's how we grew Sperry Equities into a national real estate company. And so I spent the first 10 years doing it for myself, and then opened my own company, and over the next 10 years expanded the brokerage, and then acquired real estate through raising money through other individuals.